Hey everyone, welcome back to Lavendaire. So today we're continuing this mini-series on fun tools for self-discovery, and we're talking about MBTI. So MBTI stands for the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, and if you've never heard of it, it's basically this theory that there are different psychological types in all people. So in total, there are 16 types, and I'll show them on the screen here. You'll notice that each type is made up of 4 different letters, so I'll explain what those 4 letters mean later on. But MBTI is something I discovered, I think, in high school. So it's been like over 10 years since I've known about this, and it's something that I like to talk to my friends about. And it's something that is so normal to me that I forgot that I've never really made a video about it on my channel. So here we go. Before I get into what each letter means and what type I am, I want to first thank Hover for sponsoring today's video. Nowadays, it's more and more important to build a personal brand online and have your own website. So whether you're starting a business or you want to brand yourself as a creative, a freelancer, for your job, or just for your hobby, Hover is a great place to find your personal domain. With Hover Connect, you can connect your new domain name to many website builders with just a few simple clicks. And you'll even get a personalized email that matches your domain name to further support your brand. So if you're interested, you can learn more about Hover by clicking that link down below and get started on your own website. All right, back to MBTI. So why is it important to learn about MBTI in the first place? Well, first of all, it's fun. I remember I discovered this when I was trying to figure out who I was in high school. I took a lot of personality tests online. I'm just one of those people that loves personality tests. But not only does it help you learn more about yourself, it helps you learn about other people in this world and how we're different, because you understand that not everyone is wired the same way that you are. People think differently, people feel differently. And so it helps you be more empathetic and understanding of other people. And thus it helps you be a better team player. It helps you be better at relationships and just understanding other people, being able to put yourself in their shoes. By the way, I will link down below some of my favorite websites where you can take this MBTI test. So if you're interested, check it out. They're all free. And now let's talk about each letter and understand this more deeply. So the first letter is between E or I, and that stands for extroversion or introversion. So this one's all about your favorite world. Do you prefer to focus on the outer world or your inner world? So focusing on the outer world is extroversion, focusing on the inner world is introversion. So I want to note that it's not necessarily just about social skills, because you can be an introvert and prefer to recharge alone, but also be very social when you go out. It's not about how social you are, it's about where you get your energy from. Do you get energy from being out and seeing people, or do you get energy from being alone and doing things alone? The second letter is between S or N, and that stands for sensing or intuition. So this one is all about information. How do you process information? How do you see the world, and how do you make meaning out of the world? Do you prefer to focus on the basic information that's right in front of you, or do you prefer to add meaning and interpretation to what you know? So people who are sensing are more practical, pragmatic, down to earth. They like to focus on the facts, what they see right in front of them, and they focus on what's like in the external world. They also like hands-on experiences, and I've heard that like athletes tend to be sensing because they're really good with like their senses and being physical, hand-eye coordination, that sort of thing. People that are intuitive are more imaginative, open-minded, and curious. They prefer to focus on abstract theories. They like the hidden meanings and possibilities of things. They like to focus on information that they receive from the inner world or the imaginative world, and they feel more detached from the outside concrete world. The third letter is between T or F, and that stands for thinking or feeling. So this one's all about decisions, how we make decisions and how we cope with our emotions. So when you're making a decision, do you tend to look at logic and consistency, or do you tend to look at people and special circumstances? So people who are thinking are objective and rational. They tend to make decisions based on logic over emotion. So they tend to also hide their feelings, and they value efficiency over cooperation. So people who are thinking do have emotions, they just don't make their decisions based on emotion. On the other hand, people who are feelers are more sensitive and emotionally expressive. They're highly empathetic, and they tend to value cooperation over competition. So people who are feelers are not necessarily pushovers, they just make decisions that make the most people happy. The fourth letter is between J or P, which stands for judging or perceiving. So this one's all about structure. Do you prefer to have things decided, or do you want to stay open to new information and new options? It's basically our approach to work and planning, and it's how we implement the information that we've received. So people who are judging types are more decisive, thorough, and organized. They prefer predictability and clarity, structure and planning over spontaneity, and they usually are more strict about following rules. People who are the perceiving type are more flexible and relaxed. They like to go with the flow. They tend to want to improvise and find new opportunities, and they don't like structure. They're usually the people who aren't as good with time because they're more free-flowing. Since we're here, there's also a bonus letter that they've added to the end that's between A or T. So that stands for assertive or turbulent. This one is all about confidence, how confident we are in our abilities and our decisions. So someone who is assertive is more self-assured, they're more confident in themselves and their abilities, their decisions, and they tend to not push themselves as hard. They tend to not stress out as much. On the other hand, people who are turbulent are more self-conscious and sensitive to stress. They tend to be perfectionistic, they're very success-driven, and they will push themselves too hard and go overboard. All right, so now that I've explained the different letters, hopefully you have a better grasp of this concept. But I just have to say that all of these letters are on a spectrum. So everybody is like somewhere along the spectrum. For some letters, you might be like in the middle, which I feel like I'm in the middle between like P and J. So it just depends, and you can change over time. So I've taken this test like multiple times throughout my life, and I've gotten different results. So when I was in high school, I got the result of ENFJ, and that was because I was really like socially active and I really liked going out and hanging out with people. And then I think in college and afterward, I took the test and I got INFJ, which is what I've like shared with you guys before. And then earlier this year, I took the test again and I got INFP. And I can see how I've become more of a P versus a J. When I was a J, I was really into like organizing and tidying, and I've just not been as into that. I've been more into like just free flowing and being creative and being more artsy. There's pros and cons of everything, but it's just interesting how you can change throughout your lifetime. So don't feel like you're stuck to a label. This thing doesn't define you. It's just a way to learn about your strengths and your weaknesses and your tendencies. For each personality type, there is like an archetype, and you can find it on that website, 16 personalities, when you take your test, and then you'll get your archetype and all the descriptions. So it goes really, really in depth, but it's just very interesting. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's really fun to like know the different personality types of the people in your life, or even guess what their types are, and then just understanding how people are different from you, how they're wired differently. It'll help you improve your relationships. It'll help you be able to connect with people more, because if you are a feeler and someone is a thinker, you can't argue with them based off of emotion and feeling. You have to argue with them based off of logic. And if you are a thinker and someone's a feeler, say you're like in sales, you have to like know your audience, know what drives them, and instead of using logic and facts to like sway their decision, use like the emotional appeal. So that's just like one example of how you can use this to help you in life in some sort of way. But ultimately, it's just really fun, and it's just a really cool way to, I guess, put people into different personality types. Now I want to know, what is your MBTI type? Put it down below so I can see. I can already predict that most of our Lavi Love community are NFs, because we're very like intuitive and feeling, and that's just because I am very NF, and so the content I create relates to people who are also like intuitive and feelers, because I'm not super like thinker. I don't use like a lot of facts in my videos. I just go off of what I feel. And so what you are will attract like similar people to you. So that's what I found through Lavendaire. It's just really like bizarre and interesting that there are so many like INFJs, INFPs out there that watch my content. It's like, those are supposed to be more of the rarer personalities, like the percentage of the population is smaller, but it's just like amazing how many of you are out there. So I don't feel so alone anymore. Back in like high school and college, I felt totally different from my peers. I felt just alone and like no one else was like me, and it's just cool that now we can like all connect and realize that we're not alone. There's so many of us out there. All right, let me know what you thought of this mini series, and if you want to see more videos in this mini series, or do you want to see a different series, comment down below. And also make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Click that bell if you haven't already. Love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.